Hello everyone, welcome. In the previous session, we learned about variables and data types. Now, in real business scenarios, we deal with multiple data points, can be of sales, profit, customer data, etc. To manage this effectively, we use data structures. Let us try to understand how R handles data structures. So these are the few data structures which we are going to discuss in today's session. The first one is vector, the other one is data frame, then list, then comes matrix, and then comes array. So in the earlier session, you would have get to know what is the data and what is a data type and what is the difference between data type and data structures. So let us explore further. A data structure is a particular way of organizing data in a computer so that it can be used effectively. So it is a structured and systematic way of arranging our data in a computer so that the data can be used and reused effectively at any point of time. The idea is to reduce the space and time complexity when you happen to work with different tasks. Data structure in R programming are the tools for holding multiple values. So say for example, let us try to understand how this data structure differs from data and also how does these data structures differs from each other. So basically, we have to focus on these 5 different data structure. The first one is vector, the second one is data frame, the third one is array, the fourth one is matrix, and the fifth one is list. So before that, you should know few basics and you should understand what is this vector, data and data frame and data types and all those things. So when you try to store a particular value on a variable x, we call this as the data and your x is the variable name. So when you have sequence of objects, say for example, I just want to store 11, 12, 24 and 25 on x. So here I have to use a function called concatenate which helps to store all the values. So C is to concatenate and I have 4 objects 11, 12, 24 and 25. The output will be like this and all these values get stored on X. So here you are trying to arrange all the data. So whenever the intention is to arrange the data in a structured way, we call this as data structure. So vector is one of the type of data structure. So anyhow, we are going to explore these things in RStudio. So before that, one should have the basic understanding about a variable name, a data, observation and data type. So before understanding the coding part, it is very important for you to understand what is a variable, what are rows and columns in a data frame, how are we trying to read it is what you should understand. So let me create a small data set and try to understand how are these columns and rows works when it comes to a data frame. So this is your data frame. So let us name this as employee data frame. Employee data frame is the name which I would like to give. So the first one is employee number. The second one, let us say age of the employee. Third one, department of the employee. Fourth one, salary of the employee. And the fifth one is excuse me, experience. So here, if you consider your rows, this represents employee number 1, employee number 2, employee number 3, employee 4 and employee 5. So if you consider this particular row, this row talks about only the first employee alone. So it speaks employee number, age of the employee, department of the employee, salary of the employee and experience of the employee. But if you consider this particular column, This particular column talks about employee number of all the 5 employees here. This particular column talks about age of all the 5 employees. So, this is the column name, the index or the variable. We are trying to give it for a particular column. So, this is the column name, index or the variable we are trying to give it to a particular column. So, let us assume further, in a data frame, all your rows represents cases or observations or the number of responses. But each and every column represents your individual variable. So, row represents observations or cases, column represents the variable. So, how many variables you have including your employee number? Let us call this as one variable name. Anyhow, it is a dummy number for your reference 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, you have all the 5 variables here and total number of 5 employees. So, the matrix is 5 by 5 including your employee number. So, each and every observation here is the data. So, if you consider specifically, let us say age of the employee is 23, 24, 46 and 51 and 47. This particular details of employees, this age, this is in one observation. So, this is one data and this is another data. So, individually, this is the vector we are going to print it in RStudio. Together as rows and columns, we are going to print it as a data frame. So, this basic understanding you should have, and moreover, vectors are unidimensional, wherein data frames are two-dimensional. It can be of 2D or 3D too, and vectors are unidimensional, data frame is multidimensional. And vectors are homogeneous data, wherein data frame are heterogeneous data. So, this basic understanding you should have, and now let us move forward to R script to understand this in detail. So, moving forward, give a comment data structures. So, here let us begin with vectors. So, what does vectors do? Vectors store similar type of data, which is an ordered collection and homogeneous in nature. So, let us say I am just trying to save the details of salary of employees on the variable name salary. As we discussed earlier, you have to use concatenate C to start with and give the values of salary. Let us say 2000, 3000 and 4300. So, 3 objects are there, 3 observations are there, and control enter execute. So, the moment you have executed, you could see the salary is being stored to your environment. So, if you want to print the results, again use the same variable name and print it. You could see the output. So, vectors are unidimensional. What you could see inside that, whatever we have passed, the data type is numeric. So, it is unidimensional in nature. Say for example, you want to save a character data and let us say employee name. So, you have to use underscore employee name. So, assume that you have 3 employees, concatenate. So, any string has to be passed within double quotes. Let us say Raju. Following that, you have Vinu. Following that, you have Lakshmi. Just execute this. You have got the output here. If you want to print, again you have to call the same variable name. What you could see on the screen is a character vector. So, similarly, you can perform vector operations in RStudio. And let us go ahead with executing data frame. The second data structure type, data frame. A data frame is like a business data set, can be of Excel table, which are generic data objects of R and is used to store in a tabular format. So, usually these data frames are heterogeneous data because they are two-dimensional. two-dimensional data and heterogeneous data, and these are list of vectors which are equal lengths. So, vectors which are of equal lengths. So, each column must have the identical number of items. Assume that you have 3 columns. So, first particular column, if the first column has 4 items, 4 objects, the second column should also have 4 items, and the third column should also have 4 items, that is 4 objects. And each item in a single column must be of same data type. So, assume that you have a data frame wherein you have, see now we have printed, this is one vector. If you want to use the same for data frame, here you have 3 objects, and within a vector the data type are of similar of nature. This is another vector. So, again your data type is of similar of nature. That is how you should understand your data frame. So, now let us print a data frame. The data frame can be printed in different ways. Let us go ahead with, assume that already you have printed 2 vectors. Let me use this. So, Control C, I am just copying, Control V. So, instead of printing this, let me remove this one. So, these are the 2 vectors which I have already printed. These 2 vectors I just want to bring it in the form of a data frame. So, for that I am just saying employee database or assignment operator. Then you have to use a keyword called data dot frame, which is the inbuilt keyword to print a data frame. Inside that you have to call all your variables name. So, I have 2 variables in the above example, that is salary and employee name. So, let me call those 2 and execute this. So, it has got executed. So, now print the employee database. What you could see on the console is here employee data frame. So, employee database, 2 variables, salary and employee name. It's a combination of rows and columns. It's a combination of rows and columns, wherein first observation you have salary of 2000 and the employee name is Raju. Similarly, second observation and following that third observation. So, this is what we call it as data frame. So, a data frame can be of individual vectors, but you are arranging this data within a data frame is what you should understand now. So, now moving forward, so the third one is, let us say, matrix. So, what are matrix? Matrix are 2D structure rows and columns. 2D structure rows and columns. It is an rectangular arrangement. Matrix is a rectangular arrangement of numbers in rows and columns. So, as we know, rows are the one that run horizontally and column are the one that run vertically. So, matrices are 2-dimensional, matrices are 2D, 2-dimensional and homogeneous data structures. So, that is how we define matrix. So, let us print a matrix. So, assume that I am printing a matrix, I am just naming it as matrix 1, and you are assigning that matrix 1, you are assigning some matrix on the variable name matrix 1. So, the keyword to print matrix is matrix. So, inside that what you could see, that's the keywords which is coming up for performing matrix operations. So, just open bracket to write the code, concatenate. So, you are inputting your data. So, you can also use your sequential operator here. So, these are the data which I am using, and also you have to define how many rows you need this matrix to be arranged. So, concatenate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Inside that, n row is equal to 3, comma, n row represents the number of rows, n called COL represents number of columns. So, 3 by 3 matrix, comma, then by row. So, fill it by row, that is what it means, by row is equal to true. So, fill this input value by row. So, which means you have to fill it by row wise, not by column wise. And also you are telling print me your enter print, what is that? matrix underscore 1. So let us execute and see have we done any mistake. Everything is perfect. So you have got the output here. So what you could see on the screen is that, so you just look at from here, matrix underscore 1 is the variable name, matrix is the keyword to print a matrix, concatenate, you are inputting these values, you are insisting the machine to use these values to divide the values which has been inputted by 3 rows and 3 columns, fill it by row is equal to true, which means first row it will fill, sequentially it will fill second row, then it will fill the third row. So moving forward, let us work with arrays. So arrays handles multi-dimensional data. Arrays handles multi-dimensional data. If we create any array, you have to define dimensions. So dimensions can be of 2, 3, 3, so or 2, 3, 4. So then it creates 3 rectangular matrices, each with 2 rows and 3 columns. So this gives you the number of number of rectangular matrices to be created. How many rows and how many columns is what you are defining. So these arrays are homogeneous in nature. Now let us perform one array. So assume that on A you are performing or assigning array, and array is the keyword, you should not change that one. Again use the same thing, let us copy here and paste. So have to use concatenate. So while copying and pasting you should see that mistakes should not happen. Concatenate 3, 4, 7, 8. Because based on the dimension I am inputting my inputs. So you have to define dimension. Let me see. Concatenate 2, 2, 2. So execution is perfect. Want to print A. So yeah. So you have to define this dimension to get your array. So now look at this output. So this is your array. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's is your first one, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8. So how many matrices you need? You need 3 matrices, rows 2, column 2, sorry, you need 2 matrices. The previous example I had given 2, 3, 3 is that 3 matrices of 2 rows and 3 columns. Here 2 matrices of 2 rows and 2 columns. So you have got 2 matrices of 2 rows and 2 columns. Then moving forward, list. So list can store different data types together. So this is the uniqueness of list. So list can store different data types together. It is a generic object consisting of ordered collection of objects which are heterogeneous in nature. So different data itself heterogeneous in nature. These are only one dimensional data structures. These are also one dimensional data structures. A list can be a list of vectors or list of matrices or a list of functions and so on. Let us explore how it works by its nature. So here, for example, so I am creating, let us say, a customer ID, concatenate, you are creating 4 customers. Following that, customer name, concatenate, let us call as following that. See, the first one, it is like kind of data type is heterogeneous in nature, and let us say customer list. So here, before that, you tell the number of customers. So number of customers, just defining as 4. So I am creating a customer list using the data structure list. Inside that, so customer ID, then customer name, then number of customers, finally print your customer list. If any of the variable name is not defined well, you will not get the output. If everything is perfect, say for example, instead of customer ID, you would have given customer numbers or index number, then you will not get the output. So this list holds heterogeneous data, and it is very important to understand the way in which the output has come. So it is listing 1, 2, second details and third details. So number of customers is 4. These are the names of the customers, and this is the customer ID 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So this helps in storing mixed information. So different information can be stored with the help of your list. So a quick comparison, a vector is a single type, matrix is a 2D, and array is multidimensional, list is mixed information, and data frame is a real data set which is in a table format. So moving ahead, there are questions. It's just an activity, guess who am I? So I am an one-dimensional like an array, but I am dynamic. I can grow or shrink in size automatically during execution. So guess who am I? Any guesses? One dimensional like an array. One dimensional. Yeah, fantastic. The answer is vector. It's a one dimensional, but it's like an array. Second one, I am bidimensional. I store data in rows and columns like a table. You can think of me as an arrays of array. Data are stored in rows and columns. Who am I is the question. So bidimensional is the clue here, and also arrays of array. So any guess? Yeah, exactly. It is a matrix which is a 2D array. The third question comes here. I am used in data science. Pretty good. I look like a table. I look like a table is the clue, but I am smarter than a matrix. I allow labeled rows and columns. So you will have labeled rows, which means your variable name is defined, labeled rows and columns. Who am I? I guess you must be knowing this answer. It is nothing but data frame. So fantastic. Fine. So now you can practice this exercise. A company stores revenue and manager details. Revenue is given as a company stores revenue and manager details. So assume that 10,000 is your revenue, 12,000 is your revenue, and 11,000 is your revenue. So you have 3 objects, and it is stored on the variable name as R, revenue. And second one, you have manager. So on manager list. So inside list, you are writing the name. So this you can perform in RStudio. Name is equal to Rohit, and try executing and try to read the error. If there any mistake, we will discuss in the discussion session platform. Name is equal to Rohit, comma, experience is equal to 10. So closing here, identify the data structure. So you have to identify what data structure is this and what data structure is this. You can also execute and get to know. So by this time, I hope that you could remember the first one is nothing but vector and the second one is nothing but list. So I hope you enjoyed in understanding data structure. So I hope in this session we learned how different data structures helps in organizing business data. So each structure serves a different analytical purpose. I hope you also try to understand the difference between data and data structures. In the next session, we will move into understand importing and viewing data in RStudio. So don't miss it. Stay tuned. Until then, bye. Thank you.